I would describe flat hierarchy as a crew on a ship. So everybody has their individual jobs, but nobody's going to come look to see if you're doing your job right. So you get a lot more freedoms, but you also have a lot more responsibility to do your job well. Like people don't check in on you like, hey, how much time do you need for this task? How much do you need to like how you would have in like classical, like agile at King, for example. We would have people that would come in like, hey, how's this and that task going? Like, hey, here's your highest priority task. Make sure to work on that. Like nobody's gonna spoon feed you your work. Not everybody in the team needs to be good at that. You just need in your department 2 or 3 people that are really good at that. So usually I'm very good at organization. So I would usually take it upon myself to just make sure to know my team really well, to understand their strengths and weaknesses, and then know that like, okay, this person sucks at answering emails or reading emails. So if there's information that he needs to know, I'll just pass it on because that's the kind of person that I am. And that's how I contribute to my work environment. And that's what flat hierarchy kind of allows. So you get to structure your own department a little bit more flexibly. There's no like pressure on anyone, but what is expected is that you perform and you work, and that does show up. So if it doesn't work out in companies that usually have flat hierarchies and insist on those, they tend to hire people that are self-responsible and very reliable. So everybody in the team is very reliable. At Ubisoft, for example, we had insanely talented people, and you wouldn't really hear much about them, but the work was always there when you needed it. And if it wasn't, they would inform you about it. It didn't have to go through these huge cycles. Like they didn't have to inform a producer that then informed a management person that then came to you and informed you of that, but you would rather just like cross communicate between departments, between people. It's a lot more organic, I would say, almost. So you get to work with your team a little bit more intensively without having that whole like management hovering over your shoulder kind of thing, which is nice, and also gives production and management the opportunity to work on more important things, like making sure the project is healthy and working, as opposed to like making sure the sheep are herded into the right stall, if you will. But yeah, it doesn't work for every kind of project. So if we go into like different project types, if you go into like indie production, you do kind of have naturally just a bit more flat hierarchy because you're less people. So in an indie production, it's kind of expected that you carry a lot of weight around and you deliver a lot of stuff in a lot of different areas. So in companies like Bluebird, Torn Banner partially as well, although they're growing now, but companies that have, I would say, 30 people or less, you have a lot of responsibility and you need to be very reliable because nobody has time to check in on you, if that makes sense, because there's so few people and game productions are huge, and it's very, very common that you just underestimate how much work it actually is. Because even if a feature is small, it can just create so much issues later on with other features, and well, we all know that. So it's just, you have to be very on point. And I think usually it works out well with people that kind of have that nature already, that don't need to be told to do this or that take the initiative to go and look for problems and fix them before someone approaches you about it. So yeah, very proactive kind of roles would tend to work in those scenarios. If you're starting out and you don't know a lot, I do think if you're the type of person that learns quickly, it's a good idea to maybe like go in the deep end one time and just jump into a company like that, because you'll learn a lot very quickly. But you'll usually want to look out for like, is there another technical animator present that's like a senior at least that I can lean on sometimes, because it is a lot and you'll be expected to do a lot of things that you'll not know most of it. I still do that on a daily basis. Like I think like 60% of the problems I have on my desk are like, I have no idea how to do this. All right, let's just figure it out. You know, so that's what I mean with this kind of a Games Academy vibe. Like it's very much just trial and error, learning. You're constantly like learning new things. So if you're not open to that, then maybe go into like a really big company like Ubisoft, Toronto or Montreal, where you're responsible for animating fingers for years. 2 weeks, 2 years, however long, you know. Because it also has something really amazing about it, is that you get to kind of go super in depth and super into detail on one thing and learn it really well. And it's not a waste. That doesn't mean you can't like later on convert to a more indie setting. It just means that you'll have certain principles, you'll understand them way better. So there's pros and cons on both sides, but it doesn't mean you can't like switch between departments. And also don't be afraid of joining a company, especially bigger companies in my experience, like Ubisoft or King or Blizzard, EA, all those companies. You can totally join as an artist and then or as an animator. And then as you're working there, realize like, hey, I actually prefer technical animation or vice versa, and then switch within the company. That happens very often. So if you're not sure that you would get into the company of your choice as a technical animator, because you maybe don't have the skill set yet, but that's kind of your progression where you want to go, but you know you could get in as an animator, go for it. Like there's no reason you have to like go the super hard way. And it's also very open to do that. Like we've had people from production switch to technical design, which is super different in nature, but it happens constantly. So there's no like, you have to do it like this. There's no one way. It's just kind of how you make it happen for yourself. And you do just kind of have to be bold and go for it.